guitar straps. I've been making handmade guitar straps since 1998, and like most everybody, I started out with easy commercially available straps like Ernie Ball or Martin, and ornamented those straps and got more and more complex over time. What I'd like to do is show you the basics of how I started and what you can do, and then maybe take you along to where I am now in how I make my straps and how they're designed. So I hope we have a little fun with learning how to decorate your own guitar strap. Thanks. This is a length of polypropylene strap material. I buy it in 3-inch widths and 100-foot rolls, but this is typically the material that commercial guitar straps are made of, some version of this. And they may have a perpendicular weave like this, or they may have angled weaves like some of the other guitar straps commercially made do. But this is your basic material. You can find it in 3 inches. Most straps come in 2 inches. I work in 6-foot lengths. Most of the commercial straps are in 5-foot lengths. And the reason I use more is because bass players typically need their strap to hang a lot lower. And oftentimes commercial length straps aren't quite long enough for them. So I make a strap that's long enough for bass players, but is still adjustable for other people who need it shorter. So this is your basic material. This is a piece of 100% Dupioni silk, and I like working in silk and satin primarily. What you would do with this is you would position your strap, your little Ernie Ball strap that you buy, on top of this fabric, turn it, and pin it. This is going to be the front of your strap when you're done. So this is the side you're going to ornament. So you turn the fabric, you curl the fabric around the polypropylene, and you pin it and you stitch it. And I'll show you that in just a minute. The other thing you do is, because there's a base to the strap and there's generally a leather tab or something sewn onto it, you're going to want to have a nice base at the end. So you'll fold that fabric over, and that's going to abut the leather tab on the front of the guitar strap that's sewn onto the guitar strap. That just makes a nice smooth ending to the material. And so now we're going to stitch this, and I'll show you a little bit about that. What I've done here is I have stitched this for you. I've used a contrasting thread color so you can see exactly what I've done. But I have stitched both sides of the fabric, catching just barely the polypropylene material underneath in that stitch. This is called a base stitch. And I have stitched all the way up, attaching this side, and all of it with the polypropylene underneath. Go all the way up, you'll stitch the full length of the strap that you have. At the end, I have folded, and you will not do this over the end of the strap like I typically do. You will do this, folding the fabric underneath and then stitching it with this as the base that's going to go up against the leather tab that's already attached to the commercial guitar strap that you're using. Again, using contrasting threads, which I wouldn't do if I was making a strap. I stitch up the edge, finish that off nice and smooth. Stitch this other edge, finishing that nice and smooth. And then what I would do is I would fold this under and stitch right at the edge to attach this edge to the polypropylene strap of the material of the strap that you're decorating. So you have a nice finished edge. You'll do that at both ends because on the other end of the strap you'll also have an ending, and you need to, again, finish that off nice and smooth. So this is where you are now. You have the top fabric attached to the polypropylene strap material. You're ready to decorate your strap. Once you have your front fabric in place and stitched to the strap, There's any number of ways to create a pattern that you want to put on the strap. In this case, I have a hand-carved pattern that I bought from a seller in India, based in India. I use a contrasting ink, this white ink, to create this pattern on this strap for me to embroider. So I press that down, have my pattern, and now I can start embroidering this. Now here is a guitar strap that I embroidered using that pattern. As you can see, I used a different color silk. I used green silk, used different densities and shades of embroidery thread, and studied pictures of India textiles to get an idea of the kinds of color combinations that typically occur in that culture. So I stamped, just like I did on this fabric, using this stamp. I stamped this. I hand created everything else that I wanted to put on. I hand created that, sat down and embroidered it. So this is one way that you can embroider a guitar strap, just your plain little Ernie Ball strap, and you can embroider it just like this. You'll need smaller patterns, and there's a variety of stamps like this one that you can get that are different sizes that will be good guides for you in laying out a pattern. So now we're ready to line the strap, and what we do is fold a small hem, again, because you want that nice, smooth edge that's going to be butting up against the leather. You want it nice and smooth. You want this basically centered, and you'll fold this piece of silk, this piece of fabric, you'll fold it under and pin it. You'll do this the full length of the guitar strap. You want the edge right on the edge of the guitar strap. You don't want it in too far. You don't want it to extend over. You want it right on the edge. Then we pin this so it'll stay in place. And then we'll do the same thing to the other side. We roll it under, fold it under, so that this is what it looks like underneath. You have it folded in here. This is your flat back. This is your other side fold. Make sure it's nice and smooth. You don't want wrinkles. You don't want creases. Nice and smooth. This is going to slide on that guitar player's shoulder. You don't want any bumps. You don't want anything uncomfortable going on. Now what you'll do, you have choice here. If you're proficient with a sewing machine, you can run this through a sewing machine. Another option is going to be whip stitching, and I'll show you that in just a minute, and I'll tell you the advantages and disadvantages of each one. Okay, so we're ready to sew. And like I said, you can use a sewing machine or you can hand stitch it, which is what I do on all of my custom order guitar straps. All custom design straps I hand stitch them just because it's a nice personal touch. It doesn't really have any significance to the integrity of the strap, but it's just really nice to see those kinds of little details for custom buyers. Sewing machine is, of course, faster, and that is always the advantage of a sewing machine. But the disadvantage of a sewing machine, even though it's a minor disadvantage, is that no matter how close you get, you will have a tiny hem. I don't know if you can see this, but I have pretty much mastered sewing machine edges, and you will always have a tiny edge. It's not that it's significant, doesn't have anything to do with the integrity of the guitar strap, but it is something that I'm aware of when I make a strap, that I have to be extremely careful to get as close to the edge as I can and stay as straight on that border as I can. So that's the pros and the cons of the sewing machine. The pros and the cons of the whip stitch are, first, that it's slow. It takes a long time to stitch 5 or 6 feet of guitar. Well, actually 10 or 12, because you're going to do both sides. But it is a beautiful detail, and when you can do it, it's a nice thing to do. The way you do that is here under the edge of the back lining fabric, you start your stitch. You come around, just barely catch the front corner, come around and stitch through. And I do these approximately 1/8 of an inch apart. But I do a stitch that goes all the way through all of the material, including the strap base, the polypropylene. I stitch all the way through along all 6 feet of one side and 6 feet of the other. So I do this for 12 feet. But the nice thing is, I don't know if you can see this, but it looks really good. It looks really good. It's a beautiful hand detail if that's important to you. So let me show you. You'll do the same thing on the other side. You slip up under that back lining fabric, you catch the edge with your needle, pull that through, make sure you don't have any thread sticking out, and you start stitching. And you do those 1/8 inch stitches down both sides of the guitar strap. So I'll go and show you a few of those that I've machine stitched and a few that I've hand stitched, so you can kind of see the difference. So what I have here are some machine made stitch straps and some handmade straps, and I'll try to show you a little bit about them. This is a machine stitch strap, and as you can see, hope you can see, there's a nice edge. And I chose a caramel colored backlining for this, and then used caramel colored thread for the back, cream for the front. That's not an option that you have with a handmade hand stitch strap. On this strap, this is actually a Mexican blanket that I've cut into strips to make into guitar straps. And I have a very, very dark brown satin back lining that picks up the dark brown in the fabric. And of course this is dominantly sort of a reddish orange, so I have to choose a thread color. And for this one, of course, I chose that reddish orange. It's nice to be able to see the stitches. That's one of the nice things about doing hand stitching, is that you can see it. It's kind of part of the statement of the guitar strap, but you're limited to the one color. On this strap, again, hand stitched, this is all kinds of embroidery, and then I have a